So what I want to talk about today is a huge understanding in terms of your inner world, outer world, imagination, manifestation, reality, creation, how to create your reality in a way that you're actually going to get to where you want to get to. There's so much information out there in regards to manifestation, spirituality, trying to hack your reality, which is the most insane thing ever. It doesn't work. And then you get so many people that come up to me and say, I've been trying to do this, but it's not working. I watched this YouTube video. I did this. I did my affirmations. I did this, and nothing seems to be working, because most of the things out there that people try and do is like a hack, and you will never, ever, ever, ever be able to hack creating your reality, because it's all you. So probably the most powerful part of the understanding, there's twofold. There's your identity, and then there's the difference between your inner world and outer world, how your inner world is creating your outer world, which in between that as well, you've got your imagination. So what I want to talk about right now is the imagination, because your imagination is not what you think it is. You've been taught what imagination is, and it's not that. Because of our upbringing and through school and being a child, whenever we get told to imagine something, or we're talking about our imagination, we always think, oh, this is only when I'm picturing something, when I'm imagining something. But your imagination is so much more, and it's actually kind of like the biggest thing that's creating your reality. The best way to describe it is essentially like this. First of all, you need to tell the difference between your inner world and your outer world, which will then get you to a place of understanding your imagination much, much better. So the best way that I can describe your inner world is like this. You have your five senses, and your five senses are what you use to interact with this 3D reality. So if you see something, it's data, it's communication. I can tell the difference between one table and another table. I can tell one of them is wooden, one of them is metal, by just seeing it. I can also use another sense that gives me more data, which is touch. So I can touch one table versus another table, and I can feel the difference in material. That's also data. Every single sense you have is data. So I can smell the difference between the two fruits that's on the table as well. That's data, that's information. So every single sense that we have is our way of interacting with the 3D reality. It gives us information. Now, if I lose my sense of sight, then I won't be able to see anymore. I won't be able to see the tables at all. So I lose my ability to interact with the 3D reality through the sense of sight. If I lose the sense of sound, then I won't be able to hear anything. I lose my ability to interact with the 3D reality through my sense of sound. Now, if I lose all of my senses, all five of my senses, then I simply will not be able to interact with the 3D reality at all. But I'll still be here. What would I be? I would be my thoughts. I would be my memories. I would be my imagination. That is your inner world. That is what you're always getting to whenever you meditate as well. Whenever you meditate, you sit down, you close your eyes, you're getting rid of that sense. You might put an eye mask on, which is really, really helpful. You'll listen to one tone or one sound or one guided meditation, which is one thing, which is another way of drowning out all of the other sounds. So you're focused in. You'll sit still. And when you sit still for a long piece of time, then you're not feeling your body. It kind of goes numb. So you're getting rid of that as well. It's all to get you more familiar with you in terms of your inner world. That's the whole point of meditation. So you sit down, you do that. That is your inner world. And your outer world, obviously you can tell it's all the matter, the 3D. Now, your imagination is what is creating the outer world. Any thought you have, any thought at all, any reference to the past or to the future is a thought. So if I catastrophize about what could happen, that's something in the future. I'm thinking that. If I remember a memory from the past, again, remembering it, it's a thought. I'm thinking that. If I simply just don't have any thoughts about my past or any thoughts about the future, then they don't exist. So any reference is a thought. Now, there are two states of a thought, okay? And in terms of how you relate to that thought, you can either live in the imaginative state of that thought, which is what an imagination is, the imaginative state, or you can observe that thought. So let's do this as an example now, and you'll completely understand what I mean by this. if I say to you, think of the last thing that you ate, whatever it was, whether it's breakfast, dinner, lunch, whatever it was. Think about that. Think about where you were. Think about what the food was. Think about if you were sat down, stood up. Think about the taste of that meal. Think about if you had a drink with it, what drink that was, where you were when you were having this food. Right now, you're living in the imaginative state of that thought. So even if something would have happened in that memory, you might start feeling whatever that was. You might even be able to remember the taste and start feeling it. You're in the imaginative state. Now, if I say to you, keep thinking all of that, but then say to yourself internally, I'm thinking of the last time that I ate something, and you can label it. I'm thinking the last time I ate a burger, or I'm thinking the last time I ate spaghetti, whatever it is, and say it again. I'm thinking of the last time I ate something. And as you're saying it, I want you to feel the separation between you and this thought. See that it's separate from you. Like, oh, internally, I'm thinking about the last time that I ate blah, 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 X, Y, Z. Now you're observing the thought, which is taking you out of the state of imagination. You're not in the state of imagination anymore. And those are the two separate states. Now, the reason that that is so important is because when we are triggered, or when we react, what happens is an old story comes up. So a part of ourselves that need integrating, that carries emotions, that carries thoughts, will pop up, and we become that part. And we instantly live in the imaginative state. The imaginative state is what you find to be real in terms of real life at this level. What's real for you is what you are imagining. This is why visualization is a thing. This is why people manifest their reality through visualization, because by going within and visualizing something, you're using your imagination to create that reality. The best way to kind of explain this is if you're editing a video, no matter what it is, you've seen a video on YouTube or social media or something, those are videos that have been created, whatever that is. So let's say on the basis of a video editing software. The video editing software is where you're editing the outcome, and then you have to render it, and then you have the outcome. You have the file. So the finished outcome, the file, is 3D. It's what the 3D reality you're experiencing is. The video editing software itself is the thought. And then the functionality of rendering is what your imagination is. So when you're triggered to a part of yourself that comes up and you're living in that imaginative state, you're rendering your reality. This is why we also do visualization, and we call it practicing the future energy. If I'm visualizing and I'm trying to manifest a new car or a new partner or a new house or whatever, let's say a new house, I'm in the visualization, I'm putting myself in that house, I'm walking around, I'm, doing whatever in the house, tidying up, maybe going in the garden as well, and whatever. That walking around and visualizing is me imagining. So, and I'm going to stay there for long enough so I can feel what that feels like. And the advice you always get is make that more real than your 3D. It's because that is what you're doing to render the 3D. The more you use your imagination to render the 3D, the more it's going to turn up in your reality. This is why integration work is so important and is key, because integration work will resolve the old stories that you're rendering, or better yet, manifesting. And this is why a lot of people struggle to manifest, because they're like, well, I'm doing my affirmations. Like, yeah, but your old stories are rendering, and you can't suppress a trigger. A trigger is a reaction. Okay. If you are triggered to feel a certain way because of a certain thought, which is based on an old story, you're going to react to it. And you cannot trick reality. You just can't. So your imagination internally is already creating, or better yet, rendering that reality. No matter what you do, you cannot trick it. And a lot of people who deny and disown the anger that they feel and, the bad emotions, which doesn't make sense. There's no such thing as bad emotions, but all the bad emotions that they reject, and they're like, well, no, I'm just going to create a reality of love, success, and wealth. But they've been doing that for years and years and years, and it's still not working, because you cannot trick reality. So when you're being triggered You're reacting, and reacting is the most normal human thing ever. Suppressing that reaction doesn't take you out of the rendering function of reality. It doesn't. The only thing that can stop the rendering of an old story, which is essentially the manifestation of an old story, it has to start with self-awareness, and you can only do that through the observation of that thought. I need to observe the thought to understand it in order to get the data that I need to then meet the unmet needs that I have, to then integrate this part of myself, so then the same thing will not trigger the same thing, the old stories coming up, which then instantly render, or better yet, manifest the reality that I'm experiencing now. This is why affirmations on their own don't work. This is why writing things down and then sticking it under your pillow for the next day doesn't work. All of these manifestation hacks, the concept of hacking reality is laughable. It's an absolute joke. You hear like, oh yeah, no, reality is you're expanding, you're creating reality. And you're like, all you got to do is this. It's like, what? No, you are reality. You're creating reality. You cannot lie to yourself. Your being, the entirety of your being, 100% of your being knows your truth. Even though you don't have access to 100% of your brain, your conscious awareness is a lot less, like 5%. That 95% that you are unconscious of and unaware of is the one that's mainly creating your reality. So the 5% trying to trick the 95% doesn't work. It will never ever work. This is why, again, affirmations on their own don't work. And all you got to do is the whole concept of all you got to do is this. It's ridiculous because like it's so different for everyone. If I have a block for love, it's very different to why you would have a block for love or for anything, because we've had different experiences. So the whole concept of all you got to do is X, Y, and Z, write this down, put it under your pillow. I remember watching a YouTube video and it was a guy, I can't remember his name, but he's got millions of followers. And he was just saying, all you got to do is write this on and then put it under your pillow. And I was like, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. It makes absolutely no sense.